Hey everybody, it is a chilly fall evening, so I'm going to build you a fire and tell you a story about a great actress that I kind of grew up with in the 70s. Her name is Kristy Mcnichol, and she said she just had kind of natural abilities and was not highly trained, but just had a real feeling for acting and started getting on shows in the 70s. And there was an after school special called The Pinballs, which is really good. You can see it online. And she plays a foster kid just tossed around like a pinball, but you can tell her early acting skills are excellent. And in 1976, she was cast on a TV show called Family. A very simple concept. It was just kind of a middle class, slightly upper middle class family in Pasadena, California. And they had all kinds of problems. And if they didn't have problems that week, they brought in other characters who had all kinds of problems. Everything from, stealing or ditching school to drugs to gay and lesbian issues to affairs. It was a really good, strong, dramatic cast with occasional bits of comedy in there. So she had kind of the best role because she was growing up on the show. Her older brother and sister were already adults, so it was a little awkward having them kind of hang around as adults and keep coming back home. But the writers made it work and they put one of them in a guest house and kind of kept the older siblings around. So she played kind of her classic character, which was a tomboy, uh, kind of aggressive, smart, fun, real outgoing, sporty, that kind of thing. And she became, by the late 70s, a teen idol. She was on the teen magazines like Tiger Beat, that kind of thing, and had a couple of records, more like novelty records. They never really made it up the charts, but she would be on TV a lot, singing and dancing and such, kind of spin off things. And there was even a really popular ABC show called Battle of the Network Stars. And all of the top stars would, they would compete in these sports like kayaking or swimming. And she was definitely on those shows, and she did a great job. So, like I said, I was in junior high in the late 70s, and she was kind of a new star for our generation. And so Family ran for about 4 or 5 seasons. And like I said, a lot of heavy dramatic issues. She would often bring home a friend from school who had a problem or an issue, or she would help someone out who was in need. And this was a very solid family structure. And oftentimes, the mother and the father would help solve the problem. So it was really a well made, well crafted show. It's called Family, and you can find it, on DVD. And if you can get the series, it's um, definitely good, well made, well crafted television. And then in 1980, the show went off the air, and she started doing more movies because she had more time. And I'll tell you about the ones that I like the most. There was one called Only When I Laugh, and that was based on a Broadway play. Neil Simon, very New York. Her mother is an alcoholic actress. Excellent comedy drama. It goes back and forth, and all kinds of quick, funny lines or heavy, dramatic moments, just back and forth. And she plays kind of the feisty teenage daughter, and it's a great movie. I hope you find that one, called Only When I Laugh. And she did another one called The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. Yeah, that was a hit song. It's not really based upon that song. Her brother is Dennis Quaid, and he's a singer, and then she plays the manager, like a young kind of manager, and that's right up her alley, like the scrappy kid who has to take control of the situation. And she's wise beyond her years, or older than her years. And she played that character great, as did Jodie Foster. The two of them went back and forth in the 70s with these wise beyond their years young adults. They seemed to grow up quickly and were tough and oftentimes from the wrong side of the tracks, but they overcame challenges. So I would definitely recommend The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. That's a great movie. Um, there was another one she did, kind of one of those summer camp movies um, about, I think it was like a bet who could lose their virginity first, and it was her against Tatum O'Neal. And very young Matt Dillon is in that movie as well, just getting started. So it's fun, light comedy, great for I remember seeing it in the summer, and kind of a coming of age tale. Little darlings, but they had a great rivalry, and she played kind of the tough girl, the bad girl in that one. So that was all around 1980, 81. And then as the 80s went on, she started to have some issues with bipolar and depression, and just a lot of stress on her. I think she became overwhelmed with carrying all these movies and TV shows. It was just so much pressure upon her. So in 1984, she makes a film, or starts to make a film, called Just the Way You Are. And it takes place in a ski village in Europe, and it's a romance and adventure drama, all mixed together. And she plays someone with a secret. I don't want to give anything away, but and so she's shooting about half the movie, and she just goes home on a break and just I think her doctor, they just decided she was overworked and just needed time out and to take a break. And the problem was the film could only shoot when there was snow, because half the movie they're skiing around. So they had to wait pretty much a year for the next winter to finish it. And I think it caused problems with her image in Hollywood. I don't think it was her fault, but it was perceived that she was difficult and she held up a film. And like I said, this was beyond her control. She was under too much stress and pressure carrying these movies. But they did finish it a year later. And once again, it's called Just the Way You Are. And the bottom line is, I love this movie. It's a fantastic movie. And I don't notice a difference, like in hairstyles or anything. I mean, they did a good job in continuity of finishing the movie a year later. You would never know. It's not an issue. And this happens in Hollywood sometimes. Sometimes you just have to wait and delay a film. So she gives a fantastic performance, and just energetic and eager, and the range of emotions, tragedy and sadness, and it's all there. And really beautiful photography too. There's one scene with a hot air balloon over the mountains. It's just fantastic. So I would recommend it Just the Way You Are. But like I said, the movie beyond that, she started doing TV films. Like I said, she might have had some trouble with her box office power at that point. Um, she tended to make more artistic movies and not really blockbusters. She did some TV movies and some that kind of went more to video later on in the 80s. And Two Moon Junction, she was in that too. Kind of really, a really funny character in that one. If you want to check out, that's kind of an adult, sensual movie called Two Moon Junction. And then what's kind of surprising to me is she gets cast again in a TV show called Empty Nest, and it becomes a big hit. And it's a very rare thing for an actor to have two big television shows. I mean, usually you're only known for one, and that's it. A few people have done it, like Mary Tyler Moore, but she came back and did it and was in a successful sitcom, Empty Nest, another show based around a family, and it was well made. And after about 4 years, once again, there were issues with the bipolar and the depression and the stress. And by now we're into 1992, and she leaves the show. She leaves, a hit show, a big show, and then the rest of the 90s, she just does one last television movie, a couple of voiceovers, and a final episode of Empty Nest in 95. And that's it. She retires to a private life. And we all wish her well. I mean, I wish she would come back and do more work. She does fantastic guest performances and television movies. I wish she would do a few more, Kristy. But she left quite a legacy, and she's very well known to people in my generation that grew up in the 70s, 80s, and into the 90s. And like I said, I know she's done some work with animals and some, just some charity work and that kind of thing. And once again, leads a private life. And she did come out publicly as gay many years later. And, that was probably helpful to her just to move on with her life and not keep a secret or anything like that. But as far as I know, she's happy, healthy, and living in California still. And please check out all of her roles and her films. Check out her